Hello, everyone out there in YouTube world, Facebook world, social media world, the world wherever you're watching this video from. Coming at you from the home studio here today, so I don't have all the fancy microphone and equipment, but who needs that to just, when you're just musing your thoughts, you don't need anything real fancy for that. So, as always, if you like my channel, if you like what I have to say, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, the comment button. Everything helps grow the channel. We're up to like 648 subscribers or something, which is pretty cool, but if I could get up to 1,000, that would be kind of even cooler. So, for today's video, here it comes. We all knew it was coming, right? So they just recently passed the background check bill that just went through the House of Representatives a couple days ago. I'll maybe do another video on that some other time. But that bill has now already gone through the House. It's got to go to the Senate, and we'll see where that ends up going. But on the heels of that, they're getting to what they've always wanted to get to. And once again, we have some familiar faces. So as everyone's probably heard by now, our good old favorite anti-gun Democrat from California, Senator Dianne Feinstein, I don't know how the hell you pronounce it, has once again trying to gun grab, trying to assault weapons ban, grab, etc., etc. So here we go. This is an article on Fox News. It's all over the place, so it's not certainly not something that's being made up. But Senator Dianne Feinstein, Democrat, California, and Representative David Cicilline, Democrat from Rhode Island, each introduced an assault weapons ban in their chamber on Thursday amid a, quote, rise in domestic terrorism, in Feinstein's words. It's been 17 years since the original assault weapons ban expired, Feinstein said in a statement. When it was in place from 1994 to 2004, gun massacres declined by 37% compared with a decade before. After the ban expired, the number of massacres rose by 183%. We're now seeing a rise in domestic terrorism, and military-style assault weapons are increasingly becoming the guns of choice for these dangerous groups. Everything about her statement is false. Okay, you can go back and look at the data, and you'll see that that's been debunked. This concept that 10-year period, or the 10-year period where they had that ban, saw a huge decline. And AR-15 mass shootings is incorrect. Now, note what they do here. Here's the quote. When it was in place from 1994 to 2004, gun massacres declined by 37% compared with a decade before. After the ban, the number of massacres rose by 183%. You note what they're not telling you in there. They're not telling you about what constitutes a massacre, and they're not telling you what firearms were used in the massacre. So it's easy to say that they rose, and those numbers have been disputed too, by the way. But even if you say that the gun, quote, massacres rose, what's considered a massacre? Anything that more than 2 or 3 people die, well, that could be your average gang shooting on the street. That's not necessarily something that we think of when we think of like assault weapons massacres. You also have, again, not defining what the gun is. So if you have a gun that's a handgun, for example, the largest mass shooting in American history happened at Virginia Tech with 2 handguns. So if you add that shooting alone, that's clearly going to spike up the percentages after 2004. However, that was with a handgun. But if it gets thrown into, quote, gun massacres, then a assault weapons ban wouldn't have stopped that, and it would certainly change the numbers on that. And there's been all kinds of studies out there from the FBI and from everywhere else that has shown that that assault weapons ban had zero effect on any sort of gun violence in the country. So they're simply lying about the numbers. And we all know that the most famous and one of the most deadliest mass shootings at a school happened at Columbine, and that happened right smack in the middle of that 10 years. It happened in, I think it was either 1999 or 2000, where they went in, obviously, to Columbine. That's kind of what started this whole recent craze of these school shootings, was Columbine, which happened right in the middle of the assault weapons ban in 1999 or 2000. So that alone shows you that that ban didn't do anything. But they're using these numbers, they're using these words that aren't defined. They're not telling you what's considered a massacre. They're not telling you what firearms were used for any of these, quote, gun massacres, either before, during, or after. So it's all lies. It's all bullcrap. But the bill would ban the sale, manufacture, transport, transfer, and importation of more than 200, quote, military-style assault weapons identified by name, although owners would be allowed to keep existing weapons. The bill would also require background checks on any future purchases, trades, or gifting of an assault weapon included in the bill. So, I'll give them at least credit to where they're naming weapons by name, not any of this amorphous stuff where they just say anything that's, like a black rifle with a hand grip on the front of it or something, just innocuous phrases that mean nothing. I'll give them credit for at least listing bills or listing firearms, but over 200 weapons are identified by name. 200. So essentially, what they want to do is ban all semi-automatic rifles. Period. And here's your typical quote: "Assault weapons are designed for a single purpose: to kill as many people as possible in as short amount of time as possible. That's why they are the weapon of choice for mass shooters and domestic terrorists. They are weapons of war and do not belong in our communities." Again, everything about that statement is wrong. They're not weapons of war. Nobody uses an AR-15 in a war because it's not fully automatic. They're not designed just to kill as many people as possible. They're also the most common hunting rifle. They're the most common self-defense rifle. They actually aren't used in mass shootings that much. Occasionally they are, but again, the biggest mass shooting ever was created with 2 handguns. So just because you ban these doesn't mean you're going to stop any of those shootings. And we also know of shootings like the one in Texas at the church that were actually stopped with somebody else who had an AR-15. The proposed ban would also ban magazines and other ammunition feeding devices able to hold more than 10 rounds of ammunition, but owners would be allowed to keep existing magazines. So once again, they have this magic number 10. I guess just because it's an easy round number. I don't know what research or why they think 10 is the amount that you would need to protect yourself and your family at a time. That's crazy to me. But look, the bottom line is we knew this was coming. We knew once Biden got in there, and then we certainly knew once they won the 2 Georgia houses that they were going to try and push through whatever legislation they can. Thankfully, as of right now, the filibuster is still in place in the Senate, so they can't just cram this through. Like they were able to cram through the stimulus bill, the $1.9 trillion stimulus bill, because they could do that through budget reconciliation because it only had to do with money. Things like this still currently require a filibuster, but there is still talk about getting rid of the filibuster. And some of the senators, such as Joe Manchin, who said that they weren't going to get rid of the filibuster, are now starting to waffle on that. So this is not going to go anywhere right now because it's got to get through the Senate, just like the universal background check isn't going to go anywhere right now because it's got to get through the Senate. However, what you're going to see is once Republicans start blocking these type of things that Democrats really want to get through, you're going to see more and more of the moderate Democrats who swore up and down that they were not going to get rid of the filibuster are going to feel pressure to get rid of the filibuster because they can't get any of their agenda through, and you're going to see them probably start to switch. So it would not surprise me if in the next few months you see a push to get rid of the filibuster because they're not going to be able to push through these kind of radical agendas. And if they get rid of the filibuster, all bets are off. If they get rid of the filibuster, this will pass, and probably even a more draconian one than this will pass. It'll face challenges in the Supreme Court, but it's going to pass. So just be ready for it, people. And what this is going to do is what it always does. There's already a run on people trying to buy firearms and high-capacity magazines. This one has a grandfather clause in it, which means if people really think it's going to be passed, you need to own one of these firearms, or an AR-15 or whatever the 200 firearms they got on there, plus your high-capacity magazines before this law goes into effect. Otherwise, you got to get rid of them. So what they're going to actually do is end up creating a run on the very things that they want to get off the street because people are going to run out and buy them because they think they're not going to be able to here in the near future. So the great irony is every time they introduce one of these bills, it actually has the opposite effect. But look out, ladies and gentlemen, look out, because this one, we all knew they were going to try it, but unless the Republicans hold, which I think they will, I'm more concerned about the Democrats getting rid of the filibuster. We're still going to be somewhat safe, but this is getting to be scary, and it's getting to be more possible now than it's ever been, given the current makeup in Washington, D.C. So keep an eye on it. It's getting real. So thanks again for watching. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, stay strapped, and until next time.